Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Know. This is our series that digs into the details on a variety of topics about the 2025 World Conference. My name is Jenn Killpack, and I serve the church as Director of Communications.
And I am Susan Naylor, and I serve as the World Church Secretary and the First Presidency's Office Director. And we both serve as members of the World Conference Directors team. So, back again.
Yes. And also just a big thanks to some of our comms team. Krista Mackay and Becca Loving are providing support on the admin side today, so thanks to them. And today we're talking with Phyllis Gregg. Phyllis serves as the Assistant Director of Mission Funding. And that was wrong. I forgot. Yes. I always forget. I'm so sorry, Phyllis. Phyllis serves as the Presiding Bishop Office Director. And she's also one of our World Conference directors. I think I get all those director things mixed up. So regardless, Phyllis is helping facilitate and coordinate World Conference volunteers. And she is also our budget manager for conference. So Phyllis, apologies for your regular job title, but I did get the conference director title right. So we're so glad you could join us today.
Well, thanks so much. I actually really appreciate the opportunity to join you today and talk about volunteers because, as we all know, right, we could literally not pull off World Conference without volunteers.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Susan, did you know that there's only 81 days until World Conference?
Hey, you beat me to it this time. That's become a regular in these episodes, so 81 days, you don't say. Well, the other thing I would say, if we have 81 days, I would want to make sure people know that April 1 is coming soon, and it is the last day of early registration, and that includes the conference bundle and the meal tickets. So if you're still considering registering and wanting some of those things, be sure and register before April 1. And you can always register afterwards, but it's not as good of a deal. So, but we always encourage people to register and support the World Conference.
Absolutely. So let's talk about today's topic, which is going to be volunteering and also some paid positions that help support the conference. Phyllis, as you know and already stated, conference is a huge event, and every time it comes around, there's a request for volunteers. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the opportunities that are available this year for volunteers?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are lots of opportunities. And if you want to volunteer, there is definitely something we can find for you to do. But here are just a few things that probably most people are familiar with: communion prep and cleanup, information desk staff, ushers to receive the offerings during worship services. There's opportunities for food service, prep and cleanup, lectern operators. But there's also a couple things that go on behind the scenes that we need volunteers for. Zoom session monitors, for example, switchboard operators, medical transportation, audio-visual support. And this year we're having what we're calling roving hosts. These are people or volunteers who will be around the auditorium and temple, who can help direct people to appropriate spaces and locations and just answer general questions for conference participants. So those are just a few of the volunteer opportunities. There's probably some things I've forgotten, but that's a pretty good list to start.
Yeah, that is really good. If you know, off the top of your head, how many volunteers are needed to make World Conference run?
That's a really hard number to get an exact count of because there's so many of them and we don't always keep track of them all. But I mean, I would say at least 300 to 400, probably even more than that.
It's a big group, yes. And so how would someone find a list of those volunteer opportunities and how can they apply?
Yeah, so if I think Jen's going to try to share screen here maybe, but if you go to the World Conference page on seaofchrist.org and you scroll a little bit down the page, you'll see a group of yellow boxes. And one of those boxes says volunteers. Yeah, here it is. So Jen's showing it. There's the box that says volunteers. And if you click on that, you'll see a list of volunteer opportunities you can choose from. And of course, you don't have to just choose one. You can choose as many as you want. And then it will ask for your name and your email address. And then again, just click whatever boxes you want to volunteer for and hit submit.
That is cool. So, yeah.
Okay,
I said you didn't disappear, and then you came back.
I did. Here I am. Sorry.
That's okay.
So, Phyllis, if I wanted to volunteer and I'm willing to help, but I'm not really sure like what's needed or will there be training? Like how does that work? Especially if I don't know exactly what kind of job I want to do.
Yeah. So there absolutely will be training. We have actually individuals, both people who work at international headquarters and also volunteers that are helping to lead these volunteer teams. So after you register and you've sort of looked through the list and you've submitted your registration form, your name is then forwarded to one of those team leads who will then reach out to you about scheduling and training. And making sure that you need and when those training sessions will be available. But I also want to say it may be a little closer to conference when some of the details are worked out for these volunteer opportunities. So if you're not contacted right away, just don't worry. We will contact you at some point and make sure you have the information.
So what are some of the reasons, besides just, like being a good human, what are some of the reasons that someone might want to volunteer?
Well, being a good human is a really good reason, I think, number one. But as I said earlier, there's literally no way we could pull off a world conference without volunteers. And there are so many little pieces of conference that have to all come together to contribute to the whole. So every contribution that a person makes, no matter how big or how small, even if you think you can only dedicate an hour or two to a world conference, that's huge. And when we put all of those smaller opportunities and times together, it really contributes to a big, successful, and meaningful conference.
Absolutely. And those are all good reasons to volunteer, and volunteers are unpaid. And you've touched on it a little bit, but what are the benefits? It may not be monetary, but what are the benefits of volunteering?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's lots of benefits. So like, for example, if you can't be a delegate to World Conference, being a volunteer allows you to commit whatever time you can. Like I said, even if that's just an hour or two, you can still be part of the energy and the excitement of this, special global event. But even if you are a delegate, I just want to mention this, you can still volunteer for things like communion serving and collecting the offering. And you're guaranteed a great seat because we specifically set aside seats for our volunteers who are doing those things like collecting the offering and serving communion. And, of course, you just never know who you might meet in the halls wandering the spaces at conference. So there's lots of really great reasons to volunteer, I think.
Yeah. It is a good opportunity.
So I think it's obvious that we know we need volunteers, but I'm wondering, I know there are some jobs that need a little bit more time commitment and like a specific skill set to help conference in, specific ways. So like, are there paid jobs for the conference event?
There are some paid jobs. You're right, Jen. I know that there's an open position right now for a registration assistant, and that position works with Christopher Shaw, who is the World Church Recorder and the conference registrar, and will be working out of the registration booth. We know that there are positions that have been posted that support the Herald House event store, including an assistant manager's position and store staff that help in helping people in the store. And those positions have been posted online, and you can apply for those. So if there's people listening that have retail experience and skills in that area and would be available to work on a temporary basis, be sure to check out the seaofchrist.org website. And this one, you will find at the very bottom, if you log on to the website and log on to and then scroll all the way to the bottom where there's some quick links along the bottom, you will find a link that says careers. And in that, you will find the options for those World Conference positions. So, and I think there probably will be maybe a few more paid positions. I honestly can't think of what they are off the top of my head at the moment, but we may have a few others. So keep watching if you're looking for a paid position. Also, we really appreciate no matter volunteers or those who come and give more of their time. It truly makes a difference. So
we fired through that really fast today, ladies.
We did. This was the start.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm going to jump over to the chats and see if we have some questions. It looks like Becca and Kristen probably answered the question about meal tickets. So someone was asking if they pre-purchased the meal ticket pass, could they use those meals for lunch or dinner? And the answer is yes, those are interchangeable. So you can use your punch card for lunch, for dinner, any combination of that. And I think also we talked about one time, I don't remember, a while ago, we talked about the fact that your meal tickets are not necessarily related only to you. So if I wanted to take Susan and Phyllis to lunch with me, I could just have them punch my card 3 times and I would be able to pay for their lunches as well. So you can use that as a tool to take a friend to lunch or dinner and use those meals however makes sense for you. Let's see. There's a question about, will there be a hymn or song service event during conference? They're just noting that folks really like to sing.
Yes. Well, Saturday evening, the first Saturday evening, we will be singing our story in the temple sanctuary. And so I encourage everyone to come out for that or to log in and we're from wherever you are at. And with our history team and our worship team, and we will be celebrating our story through song and also celebrating the ministry that of President Veazey over as a president for the past 20 years. And so it should be a really fun evening to be there. So yes, we're excited that we get to sing more this time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. And you'll be glad to know this year, the hymnal that comes as part of your delegate materials is going to be a separate piece. So in the last several conferences, the hymnal that we use during conference for particularly during legislative meetings or sometimes in quorum or caucus meetings has been spiral bound into the materials. And we heard some feedback that it would be much more helpful to have a separate booklet. So that is what's happening this year. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, they've put a link over there on the side that we are looking for musicians for conference. So if you feel that nudging of the Spirit and would like to offer your gifts, take a minute and check out that Google link and submit what your offering might be.
Yeah, I think that is specifically for a really new experience, I guess, that we've not ever had before. So the Graceland University band director is offering to create like an ensemble of whatever musicians are available. And so he's asking for information about an instrument that you play, or if you're a singer, and more information will come out, I think, about maybe how to practice the music or whatever. But this is a way for you to participate in a specific ensemble.
And that's for Thursday nights worship.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really fascinating. It looks like we have someone who says they already volunteered to take up offering on Communion Sunday. So there's one volunteer for us. Great.
Yay.
Thank you. Let's see. You also should note there's several links to the job opportunities that Susan mentioned, and there are links in the chat to the registration form for volunteers as well. And I think there was maybe a question, Phyllis, about if you are registering, like when we say registering, sometimes people hear that word and think a specific thing. So do you want to clarify, like if you're coming to World Conference either as a delegate or if you just want to, support conference as a registered participant, that's one thing. And then how are those different?
Yeah, so I think the way it works, and Jen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, when you're going through as a delegate, the regular registration process, or just as a regular, you want to attend World Conference and you're registering, at some point in the registration process, it will ask you if you want to volunteer. And if you click that, once you complete it, it will send you a link to the actual volunteer form. And so then from there, you can volunteer for, it will look exactly like that form we showed you earlier. Mm-hmm. And on that form, it also asks you if you are a delegate or not. And so that way we know if you're a delegate or if you're not a delegate. If you're not going through the regular registration process and you literally just want to give a couple hours of your time or some of your time at World Conference, but you're not planning on being a regular attender, then you would just go directly to the form that we showed you earlier on the website that just says volunteers. And then there's no fee or any special registration you have to do beyond that, other than just telling us what you're interested in volunteering for. So I believe that's how it works.
Awesome. I think that covers our questions.
Okay. All right. Well, some of these have been longer. Today is shorter. Every topic is different. So thank you to everyone who joined us on this Monday. Again, remember, you can find World Conference information and registration links, and they have posted a link over there in the chat on the church's website. And we look forward to our next In the Know episode, which will be 24 March. And with this one, we're going to dive into the topics of the Lunch and Learns and evening celebrations, young adult and youth activities, and a whole lot more. And we'll have some guests with us again. And so watch for upcoming announcements. And we look forward to seeing you on March 24. And I wish everyone a good day. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.